I've been an iPhone guy since like the iPhone 3. I get the upgrade every 2 years. I'm always excited about the new features coming to the phone. And most recently, CarPlay has been putting my phone up on my dash. That's been a lot of fun. But for the past few months, I've been checking out Google's alternative, Android Auto. And I gotta tell you, I'm pretty impressed. The two are nothing alike, really. In fact, they both do very different things. The question is, which one is right for you? The most apparent difference between the two systems is on their home screens. CarPlay sticks with a familiar look, app icons on a background laid out in a grid. You can select the correct one without even looking at your dash based on app color and design. See, you can't miss Spotify. Android Auto goes with update cards on its home screen, which is cool because relevant information is always popping up, like changing traffic conditions, your next turn for navigation, or the weather. To get at apps, you'll need to select the correct icon found in a small strip along the bottom of the screen. Press the headphone icon at the bottom, for instance, and you'll get to your music and podcast apps. Obviously, navigation is going to be different too. Here you'll see the same basic differences between Apple Maps and Google Maps that you would on an iPhone, but you can't use Google Maps with CarPlay, and there are some other little differences specific to each platform. For instance, Apple Maps can source addresses from your text messages and emails, whereas Google and Android Auto remembers any locations you've accessed via web search, no matter what device you used, whether it's your tablet, phone, or PC, and then it throws those up as options in a destination list. Once again, Google knowing everything about everything you do through Google comes in handy here. Also, Android Auto provides these categories for destinations, so I can search for cafes, gas stations, restaurants, whatever. Apple Maps doesn't do this, but you can always ask Siri, and to be fair, you could just ask Google too. The difference being Siri is going to vocally tell you about one option in particular and give you some information about it, whereas Google just pops up a list you have to select from. Texting and phone calls are totally similar, with both platforms relying on your address book and leveraging either Siri or Google Now to process your voice request. In my testing, I found Siri to be a little more reliable, and Siri tends to pronounce difficult names correctly more often than Google Now does. Otherwise, messaging and making calls on either platform works exactly as you would expect, with incoming message notifications popping up on the screen but not interrupting whatever else you're doing. Okay, now music. Here is where these two platforms differ the most, and that fact is further amplified by recent changes both Apple and Google made to their music services recently. Before we get to that, I want to point out a couple of huge advantages Android Auto has over CarPlay for Spotify users. First of all, Spotify actually works on Android Auto. For whatever reason, Spotify is super buggy on CarPlay. Sometimes the app hangs up or has difficulty loading at all. And when it does work, it seems to work really slowly. But I love that Google Now can call up any tune or artist on Spotify via voice command. Siri doesn't work with non-native apps, so it can't control Spotify at all. But when we get down to Apple Music and Google Play Music, if you have a Google Play Music account, you can call up any song in the services library by voice. And if you don't have an account, Google Play Music now offers a free ad-based streaming music services. In a lot of ways, it's like Apple Music streaming service. You can create playlists and use curated playlists, but it's free as long as you don't mind ads. As for Apple Music, we're still getting used to it, but it's a huge step up from iTunes Radio. Now it features Beats Radio, and you can access other featured radio stations or those that friends create and send you. I'm a little disappointed that there's no on-screen or voice-prompted way to save a song you hear on radio to your My Music the way you can on your phone. And there's no on-screen option for that either, which is kind of a bummer. But what Google Now can do with Spotify, Siri can do with Apple Music. So you can call up any song, artist, or album in Apple's library and it will start playing. That's going to make pulling up requests from road trip mates way easier. Finally, both platforms will play music you have stored on your phone, though I feel Apple's interface here works a bit better than Google's. And that's important if you don't want to use up data on a streaming service. So as you can tell, both operating systems have a lot going for them and both have some quirks as well. Which one you're going to choose ultimately is going to come down to which operating system you're most comfortable with. I don't think that either one of them are so awesome that they're going to make you jump ship from iPhone to Android or vice versa, but it's nice to know that both operating systems bring something new to the in-vehicle entertainment system and make things a lot more convenient while you're on the road.